What if passing one exam could make you rich and powerful beyond your wildest dreams? In Imperial China, the pressure to succeed was so immense that some candidates risked everything. Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into China's legendary imperial exams, the Keju. For over 1,300 years, these competitive tests selected the empire's top officials, shaping Chinese society for generations. We'll explore how these exams worked, the immense rewards that made them so competitive, and the scandals that erupted when ambition turned into corruption. One can study for 10 years in obscurity, but as soon as one passes the imperial exam, the whole world pays attention. In Chinese, 10年寒窗无人问，一举成名天下知. In ancient China, this famous saying captures the sacrifice faced by scholars preparing for the imperial exams. They spent years enduring harsh conditions, studying tirelessly in obscurity, hoping for one moment of triumph that would transform their lives forever. The imperial examination system, known as the Keju, was ancient China's official nationwide test used to select talented government officials, based purely on merit and knowledge. While the system did not directly forbid women from taking the exams, the government positions it rewarded were traditionally granted only to men, effectively discouraging women from participation. As a result, for over 1,000 years, women were excluded from formal path to scholarly recognition and government service, with only a few extraordinary exceptions recorded throughout history, which we'll explore later in this video. Before the imperial exams emerged, Chinese government jobs were largely reserved for nobilities and their relatives, a system often plagued by corruption and inefficiency. In 587 CE, Emperor Wen of the Sui dynasty introduced the first limited and experimental version of these merit-based exams, hoping to identify genuinely capable officials from a broader pool of talent. But it was the subsequent Tang dynasty, especially under Emperor Taizong, that truly refined and standardized the imperial examination system. Emperor Taizong established clear demanding criteria, setting a groundbreaking precedent by allowing men from all backgrounds the genuine opportunity to enter government service based purely on their intellectual merits. This new approach reshaped Chinese societies. Families across China began dedicating enormous resources to education, hoping their sons could rise through the ranks. The imperial exams weren't just one test, they were a series of increasingly challenging examinations. Understanding their structure and evolution helps explain why the system had such a profound impact on Chinese culture and society. The journey began with county-level exams, 县试, regularly conducted in towns across China. Aspiring scholars demonstrated basic literacy and mastery of Confucian classics, as well as poetry. Passing granted candidates the modest title of Tongshen, literally student, which carried limited social recognition. The next step was the college or circuit exam, 院试, overseen by provincial education officials. Success in the 院试 granted the first significant academic title, 秀才, meaning flourishing talent, granting entry into the scholar class and eligibility for the provincial exams. From the Ming Dynasty onward, these provincial exams were standardized and consistently held every 3 years. Candidates endured isolation for days inside cramped, tiny cubicles within massive examination compounds. Battling harsh conditions, success granted scholars the respected title 举人, qualifying them for national-level examinations and providing valuable privileges, including exemption from certain taxes and labor services. Those who passed at the provincial level advanced to the metropolitan exams, 会试, held in the imperial capital. Thousands competed fiercely, with only a selected few progressing to the final palace exam, 殿试, personally overseen by the emperor. Success at this highest level awarded the prestigious title of 进士, ensuring lifelong prestige and influential government positions. Although opportunities to advance through the imperial exam were limited, candidates who had not yet secured a good government position could attempt the exam as many times as they wanted, as long as they still met basic requirements, like not having a criminal record. Candidates who succeeded in the exams and received an official appointment generally did not retake them, as future career advancement depended on their job performance rather than further examinations. However, scholars who had not yet secured positions frequently retook the exams multiple times, dedicating decades to passing or achieving higher rankings. During the Tang Dynasty, exams focused heavily on literary talent, especially poetry and creative expression. This focus fostered a golden era of artistic brilliance, producing legendary poets such as Li Bai and Du Fu. The Song Dynasty dramatically shifted the examination system toward moral philosophy and practical governance. Creative writing gave way to structured thinking and a practical application of Confucian ethics, prioritizing analytical skills. Later, during the Ming and Qing dynasties, the examination system underwent its most rigid and controversial transformations. The exam adopted a highly standardized and restrictive format known as the eight-legged essay, 八股文. Critics argued that it encouraged memorization and conformity, rather than genuine understanding or practical problem solving. Despite these criticisms, emperors maintained a rigid format because it provided consistent, predictable standards for selecting loyal and capable officials. To fully grasp the intensity of these exams, imagine a candidate undergoing the provincial examinations during the Ming Dynasty. These tests consisted of 3 sessions, each lasting multiple days. Candidates arrived before dawn, lining up outside massive walled compounds called 贡院. Guards inspected each scholar's supplies: brushes, ink, paper, candles, and limited personal food and water to prevent cheating. Inside, candidates settled into small cells measuring roughly 1 by 1.5 meters, furnished only with a small desk and stool. At sunrise, officials distributed exam questions, initiating the first session, which could last up to 3 days. This first session typically assessed fundamental knowledge. Candidates were required to explain Confucian classics, interpret literary texts, and demonstrate their mastery of traditional philosophy. For instance, they might be asked to explain the historical significance and practical meaning of a specific Confucian saying. No official breaks were provided, forcing candidates to ration their food and water carefully. If candidates needed to use the restroom, they were briefly escorted by guards to communal facilities, ensuring security and preventing cheating. After a period of rest, candidates returned for the second session. This round presented more challenging questions, requiring scholars to analyze and apply Confucian principles to practical governance issues, such as poverty relief, ethical governance, or agriculture policies. For instance, candidates might be asked to discuss how principles from Mengzi's theory of benevolent governance could effectively address poverty and famine, using historical examples from past dynasties to support their arguments. Following another period of rest, candidates faced the third and final session, which tested advanced philosophical insight and moral reasoning. Scholars were tasked with addressing complex ethical dilemmas or theoretical questions. A typical question might require candidates to evaluate the Confucian debate on loyalty versus righteousness, exploring circumstances in which a scholar official could ethically disobey imperial orders to uphold justice or morality. These structured sessions tested more than academic knowledge. They challenged candidates' resilience and discipline. By spacing out the exams over many days and enforcing rigorous standards, ensured the imperial exam found individuals truly capable of handling significant governmental responsibilities. Considering how demanding these exams were, why did millions dedicate their entire lives to passing them? Simply succeeding in the exams brought significant prestige, but it was the highest rankings, especially those from the palace exam, that brought the greatest rewards. Achieving the esteemed title of 进士 meant not just a government job, but instant entry into a life of success. New 进士 typically began their careers as county magistrates or imperial secretaries, often quickly advancing to more senior positions like provincial governors or imperial advisors. Starting in the Song dynasty, the three highest-ranked candidates nationwide from the palace exam received special titles collectively known as the three top scholars, 三鼎甲. Each of these prestigious titles was awarded to only one scholar nationwide every 3 years, emphasizing their exceptional achievement. The highest honor belonged to the 状元, literally the top scholar. Achieving this title instantly transformed a candidate into a national celebrity, providing immediate access to distinguished government positions. Many 状元 became personal advisors to emperors or occupied senior roles in powerful ministries, exerting enormous influence over imperial policy. Next was the 榜眼, or runner-up, who typically began their career in high-level advisory roles, often swiftly advancing to influential administrative positions. The third-ranked candidate was the 探花, meaning flower seeker, a poetic nod to literary elegance. While junior compared to 状元 and 榜眼, 探花 candidates still received respected appointments with significant potential for advancement. These exclusive titles underscore the fierce competitiveness of the imperial exams and symbolized the immense prestige attached to rankings at the very top of the nation. Beyond official employment, successful palace exam candidates had another opportunity: membership in the Hanling Academy, Hanling Yuan, an elite scholarly institution at its peak during the Ming and Qing dynasties, functioning as the emperor's personal think tank. The Hanling Academy recruited top exam scholars, especially favoring the highest-ranked candidates. Hanling scholars held important roles, such as editing official documents, drafting imperial decrees, compiling historical records, tutoring future emperors, and advising rulers directly. Being invited to join the Hanling Academy was one of the greatest honors, recognizing exceptional talent and leadership potential. The imperial examination system promised fame and fortune, but while it claimed to offer equal opportunity, women were effectively excluded. Though not legally banned, the exams led to government roles that societal norms barred women from holding. Still, a few extraordinary women challenged this male-dominated system, revealing the hidden struggles over gender roles in ancient China. Let's explore the stories of 3 who dared to defy tradition, and sometimes even succeeded. In the early southern Song dynasty, a young girl named Ling Youyu made an unprecedented attempt at the imperial examinations. According to the official records compiled in the collected drafts of Song institutions, Ling Youyu was only 9 years old when she requested permission to participate in the exams during the reign of Emperor Xiaozong. Surprisingly, Ling passed the preliminary examinations administered by the Zhongshu Shen, impressing officials so much that Emperor Xiaozong personally awarded her the honorary title of Ruren, a prestigious rank traditionally given only to wives or mothers of respected officials. Despite this remarkable achievement, Ling Youyu did not continue further in the formal exam system or take an official government position. Nevertheless, her success established a rare precedent, quietly challenging the assumption that scholarly achievement belonged exclusively to men. Some records also hint at another notable attempt by a female candidate named Wu Zhiduan in 1212 CE during the reign of Emperor Ningzong. Some records suggest that Wu Zhiduan participated in the imperial examinations and even qualified for the prestigious final level tests administered by the Imperial Academy, Guozijian. However, her candidacy sparked significant controversy within the imperial court. High-ranking officials argued against allowing a woman to officially sit for the exam, expressing concerns about the potential implications. One official famously objected, questioning what official position could realistically be offered to a woman who passed the exams, and emphasizing the scandalous nature of a woman publicly engaging in scholarly pursuits. Eventually, due to intense political opposition and traditional social pressures, Wu Zhiduan was barred from continuing in the exams. Her story, though less clearly documented than Lin Youyu's, further illustrates the deep societal discomfort around women openly challenging traditional gender boundaries in imperial China. Despite centuries of barriers, one remarkable exception arose in the turbulent 19th century, during the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, a radical rebel state challenging Qing dynasty rule and traditional Confucian norms. A new form of examination explicitly opened doors to women for the first time. In 1853, under the Taiping regime, Fu Shanxiang seized this unprecedented opportunity, passing the imperial-style exams to become China's first and only officially recorded female zhuangyuan, the top-ranked candidate. Unlike the traditional imperial examinations, the Taiping tests focused heavily on the rebels' interpretations of Christianity, equality, and social justice rather than classical Confucian texts. Nevertheless, Fu Shanxiang's extraordinary accomplishments represented a historical breakthrough. After her remarkable exam success, Fu Shanxiang was appointed to a high-ranking governmental position within the Taiping administration, demonstrating her exceptional leadership and intellectual capabilities. Although the Taiping regime eventually fell to Qing forces, Fu Shanxiang's unprecedented achievement remains a powerful historical example of what women might have accomplished in imperial China, had equal educational opportunities been consistently available. Despite the imperial examination system's noble intentions, its history is filled with countless attempts by ambitious candidates trying to cheat their way to success. Over centuries, candidates employed increasingly creative and elaborate methods to circumvent strict rules and rigorous security measures. Let's take a closer look at some of the most fascinating cheating techniques, ranging from clever concealments and substitutions to outright bribery and collusion. Once inside the tightly guarded examination compounds, candidates employed incredible creativity and resourcefulness to cheat. The most common technique involved hidden notes, often inscribed in tiny characters, known as 蝇头小字. Candidates tucked miniature scrolls inside their clothing, stitched passages directly into robe linings, or even crafted entire suits of underwear densely covered with microscopic Confucian texts. Items such as shoes, belts, candles, and even steamed buns became clever hiding spots for cheating sheets. Some candidates even went to extraordinary lengths, preparing knee-high leggings and footwear meticulously covered in handwritten notes. As examiners intensified their inspections, cheating methods evolved further. Miniature copies of Confucian classics were concealed inside hollow brush handles or palms discreetly during examinations. Though less commonly recorded, there is evidence suggesting the use of invisible ink, written notes that became visible only under specific conditions. Beyond individual efforts, cheating sometimes involved organized teamwork. Candidates worked together in organized groups, each member fulfilling a specialized role, one or more preparing model answers, those with exceptional handwriting carefully transcribing these answers, and physically intimidating teammates, ensuring notes were delivered safely within the exam hall. Such sophisticated schemes show how exam cheating evolved into collaborative efforts to bypass security. Another notorious cheating method was hiring academically gifted individuals known as 枪手 to secretly take the exam on behalf of less capable, wealthier candidates. This practice became notably prevalent during the late Tang Dynasty. The scholar Wen Tingyun famously demonstrated both legendary talent and organizing cheating during the Tang Dynasty exams. He's said to have rapidly composed answers and poems, discreetly passing notes to help multiple candidates, reportedly assisting as many as 8 at once. Such arrangements suggest that cheating had evolved beyond mere individual desperation into a systematic business. Cheating also occurred outside the exam halls by corrupting the system's administrators and rules. Wealthy candidates often resorted to bribery, using their financial resources to influence officials and gain unfair advantages. Clerks and examiners were frequently bribed to leak questions in advance or alter exam scores after tests concluded. Instances of bribery and corruption appeared across multiple dynasties, highlighting persistent vulnerabilities rather than isolated incidents. Throughout imperial history, many officials were executed for conspiring to sell examination questions, demonstrating how deeply embedded bribery had become and how severely authorities punished such corruption when uncovered. A famous case related to bribery involves the renowned Ming artist Tang Ying, more popularly known as Tang Bohu. Despite doing well in the provincial exams in 1998, he and his friend Xu Jing were accused of cheating during the 1499 metropolitan exam by receiving exam questions leaked by examiner Chen Mingzhen. While no definitive proof was recorded, Tang Bohu was still convicted of improper conduct, which barred him from high government positions. Disappointed, he refused lesser positions and turned fully to the arts. He eventually became one of China's most celebrated artists, recognized today as one of the 4 masters of the Ming Dynasty. Finally, a more subtle but effective method was manipulating residency requirements. Starting in the Song Dynasty, quotas based on regional allocations encouraged candidates to falsify their hometowns, allowing them to participate in exams in regions with fewer qualified competitors. To combat this, Song authority eventually introduced family guarantee certificates, verified by local officials and family members, highlighting the government's recognition of this widespread problem and its proactive response. Aware of these widespread cheating methods, imperial authorities consistently attempted to reinforce examination security. Guards conducted thorough inspections, often requiring candidates to remove clothing to search for hidden notes. Examination supplies, including brushes, inkstones, and even candidates' personal food containers, were closely examined. Compounds featured high walls and vigilant patrols, aiming to prevent any external communications or collusion among candidates. Yet, despite these stringent security measures, candidates always found inventive ways to avoid detection. The ongoing struggle between officials and cheating scholars became a defining feature of the imperial examination system, highlighting both human creativity and the desperation that candidates faced in their pursuit of success. The imperial examination system, despite being designed to uphold equal opportunity and fairness, was often plagued by corruption and manipulation throughout its long history. While cheating attempts were common, certain large-scale scandals shook the entire empire and damaged the reputation of the exams. These scandals, involving powerful officials, wealthy families, and widespread bribery, were so severe that they led to calls for reform and even contributed to the eventual collapse of the entire system. Let's dive into 2 of the most significant and explosive scandals in the history of the imperial exams. In 1595, during the reign of the Wanli Emperor, The Ming Dynasty experienced the infamous examination scandal of 1595. This massive scandal involved systematic cheating and widespread bribery across multiple levels of examination process, notably linked to the influential provincial exam in Shuntian. Investigations exposed extensive collusion between high-ranking officials, corrupt examiners, and candidates. Exam papers were leaked ahead of time, and examiners were bribed to give favorable scores or special treatment, including purposely overlooking candidates using hidden notes. In more extreme cases, some examiners even directly supplied the answers, fundamentally undermining the examinations. Influential or wealthy families also openly used their power to bypass the merit-based selection process altogether. When the full scale of corruption was revealed, public outrage and widespread disappointment quickly followed. In response, the Ming government issued severe punishments. Many individuals, including several prominent officials, were executed, imprisoned, or sent into exile. Although reforms were quickly introduced to improve examination security, this scandal demonstrated the weakness of the exams, highlighting how tactics like leaked questions and bribery could undermine the system's original goals of rewarding based on merit. Nearly 5 centuries later, another major scandal shook the imperial examination system. During the Qing dynasty in 1858, under the Xianfeng Emperor, the integrity of the metropolitan exam was again called into question. This notorious event, known as the Wuwu Kechang'an, centered around the influential chief examiner Bo Jun, a high-ranking Manchu grand secretary accused of favoritism and corruption. At the heart of the controversy was Luo Hongyi, a Peking opera performer whose scholarly qualifications were highly dubious. Luo Hongyi's suspicious passing grade sparked outrage, leading to accusations that Bo Jun had manipulated results due to personal favoritism or bribery. After growing criticism and pressure, Emperor Xianfeng ordered an investigation. The investigation uncovered many violations and evidence of malpractice implicating Bo Jun. In a shocking decision, given his high rank and background, Bo Jun was sentenced to death and publicly executed in 1859, becoming the highest-ranking Qing official ever punished for examination corruption. These two landmark scandals, centuries apart, illustrates a persistent contradiction within the imperial examination system. Although designed to be fair, it was continually vulnerable to corruption, favoritism, and bias. The damage from these incidents went beyond unfair outcomes. They eroded public trust in the government's ability to maintain justice and integrity. Ultimately, recurring scandals like these contributed significantly to mounting pressure for reform, eventually leading to the imperial examination system's abolition. While scandals certainly damaged public trust, they represent only part of the imperial exam's legacy. Despite ongoing struggles with cheating and corruption, the imperial exam system repeatedly tried to uphold fairness and merit. Many worthy scholars succeeded purely through dedication, hard work, and genuine talent, proving that despite these challenges, the imperial exams remained a meaningful and powerful force in shaping Chinese society. The imperial examination system officially ended in 1905, after centuries of shaping China's history, for better and worse. Yet the influence of the Keju hasn't disappeared entirely. Its structure and principles directly inspired China's modern-day university entrance exam, the Gaokao. Although the subject and standards have evolved, the tradition of using exams to shape futures and opportunities continues. What do you think about the imperial exam's troubled legacy? Could you see yourself taking such a life-changing test? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed today's journey into China's fascinating history, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.
Stay curious, stay magical.